Well, okay. You know my usual MO. I don't have anything really prepared, but let's start. Okay, so this was, what was it? 1996, 95, 96. We've done some DC Comics Vertigo stuff in the past. We did, well, Shade the Changing Girl and the Sandman. So this was the Helix, Helix, Helix imprint that DC started. This was supposed to be a answer, the opposite to Vertigo, which is like fantasy and horror type of stuff. And the Helix imprint was supposed to be the science fiction imprint, where they were going to do science fiction. It was going to be the science fiction version of Vertigo, where they did fantasy and horror. So this was all going to be all the science fiction titles that they were doing. Originally, the title, the name of the company, the imprint, was going to be Matrix. They had to change that for obvious reasons. But originally it was going to be Matrix, and then they changed it to Helix. So thank you, Keanu. All right, so Helix. And so what they did was they got a bunch of old veterans like Howard Chaykin and other people, and also some people who were science fiction prose science fiction writers. Included in that number was Lucius Shepard. Lucius Shepard, a very, very well-known science fiction writer, multiple Hugo Nebula award-winning author of short stories and novels. Very, very good. If you haven't bothered to read, even if you're not a big SF fan, I highly recommend Lucius Shepard's works. I've been reading him for decades, and he's passed on now. He was a wonderful writer. Very, very imaginative work, and won multiple awards for his work. And we'll talk more about him as we go. So they got Mr. Shepard to start this comic. He didn't have any real experience with comics, and we'll talk about that as we go. And this was what he came up with: Vermillion. The man liked colors. If you go over his bibliography, you'll find a lot of colors in his titles. Anyway. So this came out, Vermillion by Lucius Shepard, and this has pretty much been forgotten. You never hear anybody talk about this. You never hear anybody mention this. It's never on anybody's list of the great comics. Nobody mentions it. Nobody even remembers it. I don't think anybody read it. I don't think it sold for anything. Nobody bought it. It just came and went, unacknowledged. Nobody paid any attention to it. And to this day, nobody remembers it. Nobody talks about it. It's completely forgotten. It's completely ignored. Nobody even knows that it exists. It's now, what is it, 25 years in the past, and it's been completely forgotten. I would say
I can buy up all the copies.
I would say,
then pump it and make a fortune.
I would say the reason why it's completely forgotten and very obscure is because, well, it's not very good. To be perfectly honest, it's really not very good, and that would be the reason why it didn't sell well and why it's been completely forgotten. Let's be honest, it's really not one of the greatest comics ever done, by a long shot. Nevertheless, the reason I put it on this docket and our schedule was because I think it's worth noting. It's something to pay attention to. So it was 12 issues. It was intended to be longer. It was intended to be this long ongoing thing, like a Sandman long story, and he didn't get to it. And it's heartbreaking because at the end, he said, well, he might end up doing like a one shot that would give you the overview of where he had planned to take it. And of course, obviously that's not going to happen now. So he's passed on. That's a bit heartbreaking. So he never got to finish the story. It's an unfinished work. If you read the entirety of Vermillion, yeah, it just doesn't work in any way. The pacing is all over the place. It's badly paced. It's not structured well. He was a prose author. He was familiar with short stories and novels, and he knew how to write those. And if you take those skills of being a writer in prose and short stories and novels and try to transpose them into comics, they don't match correctly. Comics is its own art form, and it has to be written in a very specific way. And that's one of that really was the main problem here. The pacing is not the same in a comic book as it is for a novel. The structure isn't the same. The plotting isn't the same. The way you convey information is not the same. It's a different art form, and he didn't get that at the time. I think he was getting better. It takes time. It takes some practice. As time went along, I think he would have gotten a lot better. I think he would have improved. I think, and you could see it a little bit over the course of the 12 issues that he was getting better. He was starting to figure out how a comic should be structured. So the opening story, which was issues 1 through 7, yeah, it was structured in the way that you would structure a novel, and the way that you would structure a prose novella or novelette or a prose work. And it kind of fell flat on that. And so I think in time he would have improved. Nevertheless, the reason Vermillion is worth reading is just, Shepard was one of those guys with so much talent, just dripping off his fingers, just so much imagination. Just the imagination of the man just was exploding on every page. And I've read a lot of his novels and short stories. I really recommend his work, and you can see it here. It's just the imagination of that he just could generate these ideas one after the other, just incredible work, and such a deliciously rich prose style. Just the sheer heartbreaking, gorgeous beauty of his sentences, just unbelievable. I love that kind of writing, and I find he's a writer that you can just delve into and just luxuriate in the joy and richness and the beauty of his prose. And I was just amazed when it was revealed that he was going to be writing a comic book. And okay, so we can get into it. So this was after the first story, which was 1 through 7, was done, and that was the background and what happened, and you don't need to know everything, what the situation that happened. And so issue number 8 was a standalone story. So rather than read all of it, this was the one I decided to go with, was issue 8. So yeah, let's see what we get into here. Now, the very first thing that Stephen noticed is it's John Toddleman. Good eye, Stephen. From Swamp Thing. If we remember Swamp Thing, this is John Toddleman, the artist from Swamp Thing. If you remember that, Alan Moore Swamp Thing. We did that back in February, wasn't it? Yeah. So I just really, really think there was so much potential here, and you can see why it wasn't working. You can see why it gained its early death. It's such a shame, because I think if it had been allowed to continue, I think it would have found its feet. I think it would have found its direction in time. There's so much potential here, and just unrealized. But yeah, I mean, just the sheer powerhouse writing, the sheer championship, heavyweight, muscular prose that Shepard could generate. It's just overwhelming. Like some of the best I think I've ever read in comics. And his prose works read like this as well. It's just incredible. I mean, you could just read the whole thing. I'm tempted to just sit here and recite the entirety of it. I know you don't want that, and that's not going to happen. But just from them, I acquired the skill to turn a simple misstep into a fall from grace, to pass through oblivion into a place where grief becomes a power, and the wind shapes mournful vowels from the broken stones of a life. I mean, your mileage may vary, of course. It depends on your particular taste, whether you're interested in that kind of writing or not. I am very definitely in the camp of someone who is. I love it myself. I understand why people don't, but I just love it. It just knocks you out.
But
To me.
surely there's a potential for this story now. I mean, the 90s were an upbeat period, but now we've finally hit a really good downbeat period.
You never know. Just timing, good luck. I mean, you just never know what's going to take off. And so you see this and you look at it now and you realize, oh, the path not taken. What might have been. This could have been something special. It very much is not. I mean, you can see that it doesn't work. It clashes, the approach, the style, the sensibility. Yeah, it's jarring. You see what he's trying to do. You see what he's trying to attempt, and it's unsteady. It's uncertain. It's clumsy. It's awkward. It's just not working. But boy, what a magnificent failure! What a magnificent attempt! And God bless everybody involved here for trying to do that, to trying to, let's do it all. Let's throw in the kitchen sink. Let's see what emerges. Throw it all against a wall, and see, I mean, I admire the experimentation. I admire the attempt.
How many?
See what comes out.
How many editions of this were made?
It was just 12 issues. By the time like issue 8 came out, they realized, okay, this isn't working, and they pulled the plug. And issue 12 came out, and it's completely forgotten now. Nobody even remembers this.
Wow.
I mean, certainly nobody's ever read it. The thing of it is, the problem is he really was approaching it as if he would approach one of his own novels or one of his own novelettes or short stories, and you can't do that. That's just not the way you write a comic book. You understand why he would do it. He's comfortable with that. That's where he came from. That's where he's trained. That's where his all of his writerly instincts come from. But it just can't work if you try to transpose those skills into a comic book. It's a different medium, and it's not going to work the same way. And you can see what he was trying to do. If this were a prose story, it would work a lot more, but that's not a comic, and it's not going to work if you try to do it. And that's what he was trying to do, and that's why it doesn't work. It's just a lot of text, a lot of narrative, caption boxes, and with Toddleman's beautiful, beautiful artwork. But it's clashing. They're not melding together. They're not merging. It's just it's like the movie Pink Floyd, The Wall. If you ever see that, it's just so overwhelming, and it's just incredible when you really look at it. If you watch that movie, Pink Floyd's The Wall, it's just an incredible experience, and your jaw drops. You just go, "This is amazing! I can't believe I'm watching this." But on the end of the day, you got to admit it's really not a good movie. It's too much. It's just not working at all. Even though it's amazing, it's incredible. It's just like a fire hose, out of control, but it's not going to work together as an aesthetic experience.
Surely they still show it down the local Sophisticates theatre, don't they?
Yeah. And you can see that it could have worked. There's ways it could have worked. There's ways it could have been brought under control. And I think in time he would have gotten to that. Oh well. So it's just a shame. And But there's a lot to like here. There's a lot to admire here. Certainly, Toddleben's artwork just cannot be faulted. I mean, it's whenever it's John Toddleben, you're in good hands as far as the art goes. It's just gorgeous, gorgeous work. He does not disappoint.
Furthering the story, why was Sylvia hanging around with this loser?
Yeah. Okay. So we did not start with the beginning of issues 1 through 7. So there's a whole issues 1 through 7 that we didn't go through. It would have taken too long. And so this is the situation where this thing happened where okay, it's been a long time since I read it, and so these are the characters. Yeah, Sylvia here, and I've even forgotten his name. I don't know, Mark. I'm kind of calling him Mark. I don't know what his name is. They are the survivors of the previous universe when the big explosion that happened and that got them into their current predicament that they're in with this new world of Vermillion, which is the city that is this enormous extra dimensional city that they are now trapped inside, and
which has its basis in what legend?
Oh, no, I don't think so. This is all some kind of. I think he was just making it all up. I mean, yeah, no, it's like if you ever read like people like Clive Barker and people like Ramsey Campbell and even Borges, the imaginative realist school of fiction writing, where they would do like fantastical settings, and Clive Barker wrote about different dimensional cities and other worlds. There's no real basis in any like mythology.
I'd say there is. It's probably the labyrinth of Greek legend.
Yeah, possibly.
In a sense, this guy is looking for a way out. It's looking for clues, which is a bit poorly executed. I thought he finds a portal that gets him out. Something. What was it? This gambling machine or junk box or something like that. He's playing with at some point, and that gets him out. And everybody else is chasing him, like stay here and be a loser like the rest of us. Yeah. I just didn't like one guy sticking himself up like that.
Yeah, possibly.
Now, I'm a bit bemused by this guy who was the catcher. There's some references I didn't quite get there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jonathan is his name. Jonathan Cave. Okay.
So what was this Intil Imani?
Yeah, that's the villains of the whole comic, or the Intilimani, I guess. And again, like we always do whenever we read just a tiny first beginning chapter of a longer work. If you want to, you can go and read the entirety of it. There's a few that actually are worth it.
I just
say Vermillion would be worth it.
I totally think I got the wrong edition or something, because mine looks pretty different from yours. Let me see.
Okay, give me go to page 1 and tell me, what does page 1 say? What's the first sentence of page 1?
Well, yeah, it's not that. Walking along that night, I saw the sky rip open and a bone-pale hand clenched like an eagle's claw punched down towards me as if to pluck me up.
Yeah,
wow.
I think that would be. What I remember is I gave you the link to the.
Yeah, well, it didn't work, but then I went on the general site and I looked it up. But okay, so mine says Vermillion, October 96, edition 1, Helix, DC Comics.
Yeah, no, you did indeed download issue number 1, and that must be what you read.
Well, I read part of it.
Okay, so yeah.
Which one is this?
As I said, this was issue 8.
Oh, darn. Okay. Well, at least maybe wasn't as confused as I would be then if I had jumped into edition 8.
Yeah, no, you got issue 1. Okay, yeah, I gave you the link to issue 8, and that's what I thought you had.
But
So
I'm so disappointed to hear that this was a flop or something, because it seems like a freaking masterpiece from the first edition. Seems like it's like incredible. Even the pictures look different on yours, on that edition from mine. Like the pictures are amazing and on edition 1.
I'd say it had the potential to be a masterpiece.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah. He needed some experience. He'd never done a comic before. He needed experience to know how a comic is paced and how it's structured and how the visual information is conveyed. And I think he would have gotten there.
Well, he's basically created a superhero with a drinking problem. That's his kryptonite.
It does seem like I can see that it seems like there's like a heavy drug focus here.
Well, he's in the world of alcoholism, but the story points to the other people possessed by the other heavier drugs who are totally lost. I mean, he's merely in alcohol. He's got a chance of, as expressed in story 8, he's got a chance here of getting back.
Yeah.
If he can make it. But he's pointing out that these other drugs are taking people to a place that they're never really going to escape from.
Yeah, I mean, this part right here is just so heartbreakingly beautiful. Kidry addicts, their pupils as oddly configured as chess pieces, betook themselves to high places and sang of the visions their drug had afforded them. And
I'm terribly interested in this because I'm an addict myself.
You're right. It just keeps going like that. I drank rum, chacasa, barberin, tecal, whiskey, aguardiente, and whatever else fell to hand, yet I grew no drunker. On the contrary, with each day that passed, my step became firmer, my hand steadier, and it seemed I was on the verge of great insights. I mean, I think just the confidence of his sentences, the confidence of his prose. You know, you're in the hands of a superb prose stylist.
Yes.
Which is a lot of the reason why I loved reading Shepard's works. Okay, well, I'm sorry. Yeah, you got the wrong one, Caroline.
But you know what? I want to keep reading the rest of them because I'm really interested in this as a topic. You know,
well, that's my plan. We buy up all the copies and then popularize it and make ourselves a fortune.
Yeah, and just every single page is just dripping with imagination and concepts, one after the other. So the Intilimani are the villains of the whole series, and yeah, they're these other dimensional beings. And anyway, so I don't know. Yeah, Caroline, you didn't even read this, but I don't know if we want to go through all of it step by step. It's just gorgeous artwork, heartbreakingly beautiful writing and prose style. You know, there's a lot to love here. There's a lot to really just be enthralled here. Just being in this weird, bizarre world of strange creatures and strange other dimensions, and just you could do a full series on any one of these ideas independently, and some of them are just like thrown away. Just incredible imagery and some depth and some real resonance. Even though it's not very good, it should probably not be forgotten. It should be remembered. People should.
So what's with the face changing sequence here?
Yeah.
The transformation, what's that supposed to be telling us?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, these are stories about Jonathan Cave's psychology and how what's going on through him. I mean, if you had read the previous story, he had gone through the situation that he had gone through with her, Clea, in the previous story, and so he's feeling a little bit of guilt at betraying her. So it's still like he's being plagued by these old ghosts, and he's still working through the psychology of his own limitations and his own weaselly anti-hero nature, I guess. He's a bit of a rat, actually, over the course of the whole series.
So I'm wondering what the author's experiences with alcoholism were.
I've read a few interviews with Shepard. Yeah, he's passed on now, but
well, it was about 50 years old when these comics were being written.
Did he die of alcoholism, or do we know?
Heart trouble or stroke or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, writers by and large, as a rule, aren't really the healthiest people. For the most part. Anyway,
I'm going to check out what else this the illustrator has done, because these
Toddleben. Yeah. Now, I mean, we did Swamp Thing all the way back in January, if you remember, and yeah, Stephen immediately recognized this is Toddleben from Swamp Thing. Hey, we went through Swamp Thing 2 Sundays ago. Carolyn, remember?
Oh, same thing. Wow.
Yeah, this is John Toddleben.
Okay.
Same artist. But yeah, I mean, he's certainly one of the all-timers, I would say. He's kind of semi-retired these days. I hear his eyesight. He's having some eyesight trouble. He's getting on in years, and I don't think he does very much anymore. So he's pretty much retired, I think. Yeah, it's just his eyesight has gone too bad for him to actually work anymore.
So if you go back a few pages to the fairground where the guy's in the box that's giving him a bit of philosophy.
One of these?
Back a little bit further. Back to the fairground box. That's it.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what the trick here is. That this guy's trying to get him to replace him in the box.
Yeah.
He's trying to trick him into a switch.
Okay,
if you're reading carefully, you get the idea that everybody here is trapped, and so if you can con another passerby into taking your place, then you can be free, and the other guy gets trapped.
So most folks just got to make a mess. Oh, I've lost it.
Do we scroll up?
Yeah.
Well, I had a question. So, like, what's the deal? I haven't really. Maybe I guess we find out. But what is this place, Vermillion? What?
Yeah. So in the beginning story, it was it's been so many years, so long since I've actually read it. I've forgotten the majority of it, honestly. I'd like to reread it myself, honestly. But what happened in the beginning story, the opening story, was what the explanation of what happened and why they're in this situation. It was these other dimensional beings, the Intilimani, who caused this all to happen. And so now the entirety of reality, the entire universe, like the entire, not just the solar system, but the entire universe was destroyed and has been replaced by Vermillion, which is this other dimensional supernatural city. And now they're trapped in this. And that's basically it in a nutshell. And anyway, I'm sure if the series had continued, we would have gotten far more about it. You know, it's like when people always talk about that show Firefly, because that got canceled in its first season. And everybody forever after has always been saying, oh, that show would have been so great if it had gone on. And well, you know, maybe it would have been, maybe it wouldn't have been. We'll never know. But it's sort of like that, you know.
Yeah, I know some hardcore Firefly fans, and I suppose the show has a few agreeable things about it, but it's not like, yeah, I thought, yeah, so.
Yeah, I'm actually with you, Stu, and I kind of felt the same way about that show. You know, it was okay, but you know, I don't, yeah, yeah, yeah. I wasn't honestly. My opinion is it wasn't that great. Come on. So
Well, I suppose the characters in it looked very charismatic. They were all very pretty. So if you like a pretty gang of people, they were it.
So I just wanted this to be like a sampling of Vermillion, just to show people what this comic was, and that it shouldn't be forgotten. And this would be just like one issue. The whole thing is 12 issues, so it's not at all long. I mean, if you wanted to, you could read the entirety of it. But
why did you choose this one, number 8?
Because that's all there is. I mean, it's just everything else was going to be a long story. I think 1 through 7 was 1 through 7, a long story. And I think 9 through 11 was a story. And then
so why did she write this note? You know, don't do this to me again.
Yeah, Sylvia at the end writes the note.
So what did he do? Was it his fault that they went to the plane free, or?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess. Well, in this particular story, yeah, I think, well, Jonathan was, you know, since he got them into the whole thing to begin with, when they went into the park, remember, on the, let me see, yeah. Anyway, so. Anyway. Yeah, it's too bad, because I would say that Alicia Shepard, I think, is one of the more noteworthy science fiction fantasy genre writers of the last 50 years. I mean, he was certainly very well celebrated. He won a number of Nebula and Hugo Awards, justly so. His writing was very good. And it's a shame, because I think in time he could have been a very good comic book writer. And that just didn't happen. The stars just didn't align as they might have. I think with a little bit more practice and a little bit more experience, he could have been a very good comics writer. And he didn't need that, because, you know, his legacy is that he is considered one of the more noteworthy science fiction fantasy writers in the field. So those novels and short stories that he wrote, that will be the foundation of his legacy. Justly so. Very, very good writer, very good author. So I think this is just this goes down as a misfire. What it could have been a masterpiece. Could have been an excellent addition to his reputation, had he done some really good comics, but he just didn't. And well, so it goes. And for Vermillion itself, of course, the story, he never got around to finishing the story. He did say at the end, someday he may actually do a one-shot that will finish up the story. That never happened, and now never can. So it's just an unfinished experiment that I think is still worth remembering.
Darn, like, I feel like, well, maybe someone else can continue it, just like someone else continued Shade the Changing Girl.
Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that's very likely not gonna happen.
Why? I don't get it. Why? Why do you think so?
Because it wasn't a very popular series. Nobody paid attention, or nobody remembers it. Nobody cares. So, I mean, and what, there's just no, you're not, if you did, you'd probably lose money. I mean, no one's going to buy it. Nobody, there's no, I mean, the only thing that could possibly happen would be fan fiction. Like if somebody was a real Vermillion fan, they could do a Vermillion fan fiction. Go to a site of our own and look up Vermillion. Is there any fan fiction? No. Nobody remembers this. Nobody's going to write Vermillion fan fiction. This has been forgotten. This is gone, forgotten. It's over. It would be like an obscure, do you remember you remember Clutch Cargo?
No.
Clutch Cargo, yeah. It was I think it was a few cartoons like that. That was a very economical way of doing a moving cartoon where nothing was moving except the mouths.
I thought you would remember Clutch Cargo, yeah.
Oh yeah. This is like, back in the 1960s or something. You get up in the morning, Clutch Cargo to wake you up, sort of 10 minutes of cartoon or something like that. There was another one, Space Angel, which must have come out of the same factory.
Yeah, so I thought you would remember Clutch Cargo, but the point is nobody remembers Clutch Cargo anymore. It's been forgotten. Why would anybody bring Clutch Cargo back? There's no reason to. Why would you? For all the Clutch Cargo fans. No, there aren't any Clutch Cargo fans. No, there are no Vermillion fans. Let's bring it back to the fans.
That made America great. It's full of good old-fashioned boys' own style values, Oh, they used to Clutch Cargo. They used to put it on as a sort of a filler short of other TV shows, when they had about 10 minutes to fill in. They didn't have enough ads, I suppose. It was in the old days, there was a legal limit on the amount of advertising they could do. So sometimes they had to fill in an hour.
Yeah.
Can I share edition 1 with you guys and see what you think of?
Well, I can pull it up. I can pull it up for you. I mean, sure, I could.
I could either way. Doesn't this look different from what you were showing us from edition 8?
Well, no. This is not John Toddleben. This is Al Davison.
Oh.
This is Al Davison.
Okay. Well, I thought these pictures were amazing.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. This is Al Davison. I don't know much about him, but he's certainly an excellent artist as well.
So how many editions did Al Davison do?
I don't know. I think he did the bulk of Vermillion. Yeah, John Toddleben just came in for that one issue.
Oh,
but
right.
This is Al Davison. Yeah. So, and of course, one of the other reasons I chose this was because it's been a while since we did science fiction, and Metalia likes to do science fiction. So, it's been a while.
What's up with this writing? Do you see the things that are written on here, like E Hong and Raw? What?
It's been it truly has been a long time since I've read the entirety of it. I think I read it when it came out, all the way back in the day. And I don't think I've reread the entirety of it since.
Look at the city. They show you the city at the top, and he says it's like a really I love how he describes it. He says, "The sight of Vermillion by night oppressed me. Streets so long no man could travel their length in 1,000 lifetimes. A universe that was literally a single city, my home yet not my home. As old as time by most measures, yet new to me. I would never grow used to it."
Yeah, how about that?
It looks cool from that point of view, sort of.
But just that one caption box alone, you could do endless numbers of series just on that. Yeah. Streets so long that no man could travel their length in 1,000 lifetimes. Those are some long streets. A universe that was a single city.
But look at the writing. Okay, what is that? Is that another language, I guess?
You mean the graffiti?
the-
Yeah. Oh, well,
yeah.
there's one that I know Steven knows.
What's that?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Coming through?
right.
There
Klaatu
you go.
Parada Nikto.
There you go.
Don't do what comes natural and destroy everybody.
What
Klaatu
language?
Barada Nikto.
What language is that?
Klaatu Barada Nikto. Was
Some
it
sort
that
of pig,
thing?
pig Latin, I think, or something like that. It was out of a very famous science fiction film, 1951 or something like that, I think it was. Starring Michael Rennie playing Jesus Christ from outer space.
It was the day the earth stood still, right? Yeah.
Very powerful film. Yeah, I know this woman whose son is terrified of the robot in that film. Absolutely terrified by the robot. To this day, he's got a phobia.
Really?
Whereas I absolutely love the robot in that film, you know.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me. So he was making a nod to that. Obviously, he knows his sources. Yeah, Shepard was a really smart guy, really bright guy.
Are we still recording?
Embrace your inner golem and become a Trump supporter, I say.
I met him once at a book signing. Didn't speak much to him, but I'm glad I got a chance to meet him at a book signing. You want to stop the recording for some reason? We can.
No, I watched a couple of the videos that you posted on YouTube, and
good for you.
I didn't realize some of them were recording at the time.
Oh, no, yeah.
Not that I mean, and I didn't say anything like crazy or anything, thank goodness, but
okay. So
what do we talk about now? I mean, you don't want to keep talking about it? This comic, or we could look at it again.
Yeah, as always, whenever we do a long thing, it's just too long. Back when we first started this, we did From Hell, and that took 8 weeks to do the entirety of it, beginning to end. And if we did like a long thing like that, it would take week after week after week. You know what? If everybody wants to, I'm okay with it. But so what we have been doing is we'll do a tiny sample, like we did with Swamp Thing, like we did with Sandman, and here now this one. And if you really want to, you can go on and read the rest of it on your own. But because
so is there a free download site for this comic that's been forgotten?
Are you that interested to read the entirety of
Vermillion? Oh, be curious. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I'll give you. I'll hook you up if you really do want to. Sure, I'll hook you up. Absolutely.
You might want to edit that part out of your video, because some people are so opposed to doing that. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, if you want to keep things legal, I think Comixology is a subscription site. I haven't looked into it. I think it's like $10 a month or something, and they've got a really good library. It's so there are legal ways, and I think you can get a lot of old, for example, Shade. When we were going through Shade, that's probably available.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that for if you post this on YouTube, someone who listens to it may put some nasty comments or whatever.
I get you.
What's up for next week? What are we doing next week?
I gave you the chat in the next
the Acme
comic, which will be Acme Novelty Library by Chris Ware.
which is about. Oh, hang on. Is that sort of based on the old idea of all those ads on the back of the comic books or something?
Actually, you're very, very perceptive, Stephen.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we can send away for my own nuclear submarine. Cool. It's made out of cardboard. Only this time we'll get a real nuclear submarine.
Wait, you said you sent it? I didn't.
Quite remarkable. Now, if you check in the chat, you see that link there in the chat. If you click on that link, that's the one we're doing next week.
Okay.
But it didn't seem to work for you this time with Vermillion, so.
Let's see.
Perfectly normal to advertise on the back of a comic book. Here you are, these cheap Italian bolt-action rifles, which were used in the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Everybody will want one. Only $35, half the price of a 22. And also the endless ads about being a big muscle man. You know, do you get sand kicked in your face?
Hero of the beach. The story of Mac. Yeah.
I think one that was a mad or crack did a bit of a did a bit of a laugh on it. I remember one sequence where a guy's getting all this stuff and he's saying to his sister, "I can get all this great stuff. I sent away for a hammer and a honey knife," and then he chases his sister out of the room, trying to hack into her. So this particular comic book, what sort of things does it deal in? I was just supposing there.
I mean, it's a fair question. It's a fair question. I'm just a bit at a loss to figure out a way to answer it.
Well, there's the famous Acme elements in the Warner Brothers. It wasn't there where the coyote, for some reason, he never sent away for a chicken dinner, and he was spending a fortune on all this stuff to catch the Roadrunner.
Did you ever see Orson Welles' movie F for Fake?
No. It does ring a slight bell, but
no. Did you ever see the Monkees movie Head?
Okay, you're talking about the TV musical group called the Monkees.
Yeah, they did a movie.
I would have seen the movie, but unfortunately, it's escaped my memory. I can remember watching the Monkey series.
Or how about, well, yeah. I want to say Monty Python, but that would be completely off. How about Firesign Theater? No.
We can give up at this point if you like.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say there is an answer. There is an answer. What is Acme Novelty Library about? There probably is an answer.
Well, I learned a new word out of that comic, tutelary, which means some sort of guardian god or spirit. Here's a word for you. What existential genre does the comic belong to?
Yeah.
Let's show your credentials as a philosopher now. It's painfully obvious if you know your existentialism that this comic belongs to a particular branch of existentialism.
A particular branch of existentialism? You're not going for nihilism, are you?
No, actually, no. It's the comic is not actually nihilistic. You couldn't. It'd be pretty hard. I don't know. You couldn't actually create a nihilistic comic. You could create nihilism as a theme that the hero battles. Ultimately, he might get possessed by nihilism, but there's no point to a story arc which is nihilistic. You know, the hero might contend with nihilism, but the hero ultimately can't be nihilistic himself. Even a totally broken down alcoholic has to have an element of the hero in them to survive.
How far did you get into issue 1, Carolyn?
Me, so I literally just read today because I've been so busy,
Sure.
but I got up to page, let me see. I was on page 10.
Okay. Well, yeah, I know it's hard. It's hard to carve out the time. I get it.
Well,
but yeah, I thought, you see, what I had thought was that you got the link that I had sent you, but that turned out that wasn't the case.
That's okay. So. I'm actually glad. I read. I'm interested in this. So in the last couple weeks, I've quit cigarettes and then I started again.
Oh, well, there you go. We'll just do the same thing again and just don't do the second part.
I gave up smoking 12 years ago.
It's a good idea. I mean, every time I smoke, I feel like, what, I'm putting myself at risk for lung cancer here. I don't know why I'm doing this.
No, that's a partial risk. The dead certainty is emphysema.
Oh. No.
Emphysema, smoking and emphysema is going to get you at some point, even if you escape cancer.
Emphysema is a terrible way of dying. It's just a terrible way of dying.
It's nice and slower than cancer.
Oh, it's torturous. It's a horrible way of dying.
Well, I just I ran out of tobacco one day, and on a Saturday I was playing computer games very solidly, day and night when I was obsessed with computer games, and went up to the shops on the third day and didn't buy any tobacco and turned around and went home. Haven't smoked since.
Wow, that's great.
Good for you.
But yeah, I'm really interested in this topic of the addiction, the problem of that, and so yeah, I'm glad I actually started on the first one, and yeah, but I don't know.
I remember it was a famous film sequence, Cat's Eye, was it? Or was it where, who was it? It was a guy, that famous actor out of Jaws. Right. And he signs up with a mafia program to give up smoking.
Right.
So they have hoodlums watching him all the time. And then finally, at the end of it, he hasn't smoked for quite a while. And the guy says, well, we're going to keep your weight now because most people give up smoking or put on weight. And he said, oh, what are you going to do to me if I go overweight? And he says, well, cut your wife's finger off.
What movie is this?
Yeah, James Woods.
Cat's Eye.
What?
I think it's called Cat's Eye.
Cat's Eye.
Oh, okay.
It's just, it's from the viewpoint of this house cat that just sees the mysterious goings on in the human world.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I've seen that.
There's one bit where there's this troll coming along to take the breath out of a baby, and the cat is trying to fight the troll, and the parents think the cat is attacking the baby, and they're throwing it out of the house. So it's stuck outside the house, and it's watching the troll come along to suck the life out of the baby, and it's going, oh, how do I get in, you know?
Wait a minute, was that a horror movie?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with the Drew Barrymore.
Drew Barrymore,
Yeah,
James
probably
Woods,
right. Yeah.
Alan King, Robert Hayes.
Yeah, I remember it was kind of eerie. Like I remember the scene in the beginning where the cat's in some kind of factory or something, right?
Can't remember that bit. I remember the story sequence with Roy Snyder giving up smoking.
That's the important part.
I remember, you know, when he got the mafia guy says, "I bet you bought a packet of cigarettes with you." So he puts his packet of cigarettes on the table, and the mafia guy goes, ah, smash, 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 smash. Well, that was the last cigarettes he'll ever see, you know, sort of thing. So, the mafia was running it as a tax deduction. This, anti-smoking treatment.
I want to watch that. Yeah. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know what's happened to me I think I just got really busy. Sometimes like I've worked overtime, and then I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you found Jesus in your life? I have several friends that have found Jesus, and they say it works wonders.
For quitting smoking, or in general?
Supposedly everything.
Everything.
They get a bit suspicious of my neo-Platonic leanings. You know, I'd probably be, say my religious attitudes are back in the declining days of the Roman Empire. I go for everything: Christianity, the various pagan gods. You know, you name it, I believe it.
Yeah, so my idea is just to try to get as wide a view as we possibly can about comics and the potential of comics and how much it can do, and various. So we're not covering one thing. This was a example of one that is underrepresented, I think. A writing heavy comic, I think the writing is beautiful, as gorgeous as the sentences are, and they are lovely. They're incredible to read. Admittedly, no question about it. Unfortunately, that's just not how you do a comic. Even though they are wonderfully beautiful sentences, but that's not how you do a comic. That's not going to work. It's out of balance. The balance is off.
Hey, are there any comics that are like choose your own adventure type of things, or? I used to love those.
Really?
Yeah. Then I guess I would just end up reading every single like adventure, but or like wouldn't it be cool if there was like a Mad Libs version of stories?
I think XKCD did a something vaguely similar. I seem to recall at one point.